What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we are back with another Detroit Lions free agency update news video. Another episode of Lions Latest is what we call it. We're going to go through the latest Detroit Lions news. And today, we have another resigning to discuss. As free agency is here, by the time you're seeing this video, legal tampering period has begun. We have another resigning. So let's get it started.
The city's been down and it found a way to get up. And when you knock us down, we're going to get up. And on the way up, we're going to bite a kneecap off, all right? And we're going to stand up. And then it's going to take 2 more shots to knock us down. We're going to take another hunk out of you. Before long, we're going to be the last one standing.
Welcome everybody to another video. Glad you guys are here. We are back with some Detroit Lions news, and like usual, we're going to keep these videos kind of short and sweet. We'll come back to this when free agency quiets down and we take a look at our signings. We're like, okay, here's what we got. We'll take a look at each player individually while we resign them, things like that. But when the news is going on, we're going to try to fly through it and just get right to the news. So that's what we're going to do in today's video. Let's dive right into it. The Detroit Lions this morning re-signed quarterback Tim Boyle on a 1-year deal, up to $2.5 million. His contract, in terms of just overall price, is very similar to kind of what it was last offseason when we brought Tim Boyle in from the Green Bay Packers, but he has been re-signed. So there it is. Now, I know a lot of people were not necessarily on the train of wanting to re-sign Tim Boyle, but you definitely felt like the Lions liked Tim Boyle. And it's why I said very early in the process that I'm like, man, they're going to bring back Tim Boyle. You know, I was joking, but at the same time, I was kind of serious because I was like, it's going to happen. They really like this guy. They do. When you just look at how the season played out, right? You have this game where Jared Goff is hurt, Pittsburgh, excuse me, and we weren't even throwing the ball that much anyways. Hurt against Pittsburgh, we don't go to David Blau, right? Now, we didn't change rotations in the preseason, but Tim Boyle continued to be the backup quarterback or the second quarterback to go out there, even though David Blau was playing better on the third string team. Before we talk about the Steelers game, you know, them kind of just continuing to go with Jared Goff. Moving forward to the next week where Jared Goff does not play, you play the Cleveland Browns, and in that game, the Detroit Lions bring back Tim Boyle this week practicing with the Detroit Lions to start in that game. And let's just say it went pretty bad, but they did that over David Blau. Now, going back to training camp, from what I saw, I thought it was a pretty even race, honestly. I thought Tim Boyle did some good things in there, but preseason, obviously, second string against third string, David Blau was the better quarterback when you watch back, or if you just look at it statistically. However, I do think that we didn't help out Tim Boyle a ton with our second unit. You know, we left some things out there, that's for sure. However, Tim Boyle is a guy that they liked, and we kind of had the sense of that last season, the way they talked about him, but also I think based on his performance. And I know it sounds crazy. You look at a stat line, you're like, well, really? That based on that performance? Sort of, okay? Look, the guy got better in the 3 games that he played. And I know, again, the stats don't completely indicate that. I mean, they do, but it still doesn't look great. It's one of those situations where the numbers don't tell the entire story, I feel like, with a guy like Tim Boyle. You look at his game-by-game stats. Let's go to his first game, which was the Cleveland Browns. A very short week of practice. The weather was not very good, so the Detroit Lions were going to be kind of run heavy anyways, which means they didn't put a lot on the plate of Tim Boyle. In that game, statistically, let's just say it didn't go very well. This was also the first game with Josh Reynolds, and you take a look, he had 2 interceptions. The 1 interception, remember, was the play-action deep shot. I think it was a play-action deep shot that they took to Josh Reynolds, and it was like, where was the effort there, Josh Reynolds? So, you know, not every interception is created equal. You kind of have to look beyond the numbers a little bit there. And then the first interception was the one where he didn't wait on the option route with DeAndre Swift, and he kind of picked where he thought he would go. He broke the other way, and he threw it right to the defender. So it kind of felt like, all right, this is his first week here. We have a new addition. It's not that smooth. And he finished that game with 15 completions on 23 targets for only 77 yards, which is just awful when you consider, like, hold up, he started the whole game. He had 77 yards in that game. It was not a great game. Not trying to say it was, but it was the first game. However, moving forward, things did improve, and it was the Atlanta game on 12/26, December 26th, where I thought he played pretty darn well. 70% of his passes, 70.6%. He had the 1 touchdown pass, which he threw to Amon-Ra St. Brown, if you guys can remember. Then he broke it and scored in the end zone. It was not perfect, though. Missed kind of that underneath pass, which would have been a touchdown. He just sailed it right over his head. You know, they had a great route combination. He just threw it right over his head. And then the interception, which was the killer. But if it was been a touchdown, we would have won the football game because it came right down to the wire. The Detroit Lions made another huge defensive play. I think it was Jalen Elliott, but I'm not completely sure. Either way, we got the ball back. We had an opportunity to potentially go win the game. We're moving the ball downfield just like we want to, and he throws an interception. We went back to this. We did a film video on it if you guys want to check it out because, I mean, it kind of gives you a feel of where Tim Boyle was at, so I'll just throw that out there. A man read on one side and a zone read on the other. He read it wrong. He went to the wrong side, and he forced a pass that was not there. So you got to keep in mind it was only his second game with the Lions. Like, it was only his second game, and he hasn't played in the regular season before. The only time we've seen Tim Boyle play is the preseason, where he did very well with Green Bay, just not in the regular season. And then the final game that he played in was Seattle, and this one was just a disaster all over the place. I mean, we gave up 50 points. It was just like our defense couldn't stop anything. It was one of our, if not our worst defensive performance of the season. It was hot garbage, okay? Hot garbage. The guy completed 60% of his passes for 262 yards. He did have the 2 touchdowns. He also had the 3 interceptions. This game was just ugly. I mean, just all across the board. The interception that he threw where the snap was bad, and he picked it up and kind of just threw it. Or maybe, I don't even think the snap was bad. I think he just dropped the snap, picked it up and then threw it, and it got tipped up and picked off. It was an ugly game offensively and defensively in that game. But I think one thing that you noticed that you kind of took it away from the film is that he looked much more comfortable. And I kind of saw the same thing with Jared Goff as well. You look at the second half of the season. Now for Goff, I think it was a better transition as well because he was already a part of the first half. It's not like he's missed all this time. He was already in it. So as things got better around him, he started to play better. Whether it was the coaching changes, the additions of Decker, the additions of Josh Reynolds, he started to play better. And that's why he finished the season so strong. And you look at a guy like Tim Boyle, from the first game that he played, he started to improve and he was seeing the field way better. He was seeing where the ball needed to be. And I thought same thing for Goff. He was seeing the field better. There was much more trust in his receivers. For him, he just made a few bad decisions in there that really hurt him. But it was clearly someone that the Lions liked. The guy is still a pretty young player. He's only 27 years old, so you have to keep that in mind as well. And I think about bringing in Chase Daniel last year, right? Not last year, but when we brought in Chase Daniel, I think it was 2020 with the Lions to be the backup to Matthew Stafford. And like, all right, we got this veteran backup. Some of us were excited because it was like, yeah, we got this vet backup. Lions paid some money to bring him in. And then we saw him play, and it was like, okay, get this dude out of Detroit. Like, get this guy out of here because we see him in like that Tampa Bay game. Stafford can't go, and we lose 47-7. Our only touchdown is a special teams touchdown. We lost by 40 points. Our offense was non-existent in that game. And that makes me excited about where the Lions are going because they're talking about a guy that, yeah, he threw 2 interceptions in the Cleveland game, and we lost by 3. We were right there. He had 77 passing yards, and we lost by 3. You look at the Atlanta Falcons game. He doesn't throw an interception. We win that game. Basically, we could have won that game. Winning with a backup quarterback is not normal for the Lions. It doesn't happen very often. So that to me was a sign of we're pointing in the right direction. Like I said, the Seattle game was just a complete disaster all around. But it does tell me that we're sort of, the arrow's going the right direction because we're competing with a backup quarterback, and that's not normal for us. But he was just making a couple big mistakes here and there. But he's still young. He's a guy the Lions liked. Also not a deal where it's like locking the Lions into this guy for multiple seasons. It's not like, hey, you can't draft a quarterback now. But it definitely was someone that the Lions liked. So they get him basically around the very same price tag that they brought him in for last season. And as of now, he is the Lions' backup quarterback. So again, it kind of feels like they're doing this at a lot of spots, but you bring him back, and now you don't have to push for quarterback in the draft, right? Now, the Lions could have went elsewhere in free agency, maybe grabbed a different vet. A couple guys that could have been cheaper, like a Colt McCoy, maybe from Arizona, but he's way older. You know what he is. They feel like there's potential here with Tim Boyle because this was his first time seeing regular season experience. I mean, think about it. This is it. Like, most backups are like, all right, he was this and he was that. He's just solid. He can get you through the game. Tim Boyle has only played 3 games in his NFL career, except for the very end of one Green Bay game. But that's it. And we saw some improvement there. I think the Lions like him. They're going to continue to give him a shot. They feel like he can move the team forward. But do they have a thought that maybe he could potentially compete for the starting role? I think competition is what you're looking for no matter what. So I think it adds more competition than a guy like Colt McCoy because he's never going to be like, all right, we're starting you today. It's not going to happen, right? He's going to be the backup, and it's just like we're getting you through the season. But I feel like they like Tim Boyle, and they see potential within Tim Boyle. Resigning contract details-wise, it's up to $2.5 million, which is important to keep in mind because, again, it's highly incentive-based, $500,000 in playing time incentive. So if he doesn't play all that time, he won't get that extra money, which means that as of now, his cap number is $2 million for this season. So it's very similar to what it was last year. $2 million for your back quarterback. It's not a bad price to pay. When I look at it, I don't think it takes away like, okay, Lions aren't going to draft a quarterback now. This leaves the door open to draft a quarterback. It just doesn't force that we have to go get a quarterback because now we have our backup back in place and someone can compete with him as well. So wherever that's through the draft or if it's a UDFA or if it's no player that they bring in, I'm going to assume they're going to bring in someone though to have a third quarterback competing because I don't think it'll be David Blau. That's what we said. If the Lions bring back Tim Boyle, didn't feel like they'd bring back David Blau, but if they don't bring back Tim Boyle, maybe there's a shot they bring back David Blau, but they brought back Tim Boyle, so it doesn't feel like they're going to bring back the same quarterback unit again. They could, but it doesn't feel like that. So now I think the door is still open to possibly draft someone if you love them. It just doesn't mean you have to go to do it. So I would just say that it kind of gives you stability for next season. And that's it. But at the same time, we know this next year is the last year that Jared Goff has on Jared Goff's contract. This is really the last year you're locked into Jared Goff. So this is a big year for him. We know he has to play well as well. And the Lions are probably going to keep that door open that this is a big year for Goff. So it's a 1 year stability for the Lions. And yes, the Lions are trying to compete. They definitely are trying to compete in this player acquisition phase. Now, I want to continue with a little bit more news. I just want to throw out there this picture posted from Alex Anzalone. I think it was this, yeah, it had to be his kid. Alex Anzalone posted this picture on social media and saying about going to Detroit. Like we talked about yesterday with the rumors that the Lions would be interested in re-signing Alex Anzalone. Why else would he be going to Detroit right now, right? Why else would he be going? Likely to be re-signed. So it's not official yet, at least as time of recording it. It may come out when, we start to edit. I'm going to hop back in here as we have some more Detroit Lions news, and I got to be honest, guys, this news is starting to get kind of hype. So the Alex Anzalone re-signing has been made official from what I'm seeing, that Alex Anzalone is going to be re-signed. A one-year deal with the Detroit Lions. So again, we talk about plugging holes. We're bringing back Alex Anzalone for another season on a 1 year up to $4 million deal. I don't have the exact contract details as of now. I'm sure we'll have them soon to know what his cap number is, but it's up to $4 million. And every time we've seen up to, it means there's incentives in there. So I'm assuming that's the exact same thing with Alex Anzalone. It's maybe like a $2.5-3 million, maybe a little more cap number, and then there's incentives on top of that. So Alex Anzalone is being brought back to the Detroit Lions for one more season. I love it because now this picture can stay up there. Shout out to Michael Banks. It can stay up there because he's going to be back with the Detroit Lions for another season. I'm a big Alex Anzalone fan. I know I've said it many times, but I am definitely happy to have this guy back, especially not knowing what's going on with Jalen Resigning. Alex Anzalone is coming off his best statistical season because he did play a lot for us last season. He had the injury at the end of the year. Again, we always have to be a little concerned with the shoulder injury, but he is legit in coverage. It's just that he missed a lot of tackles last season. That's what it really came down to for Alex, was the missed tackles, but there's definitely versatility, as we said yesterday, within his game to pretty much play any linebacker spot. He can also help you on special teams. So there's a lot of different places that he can play defensively. He understands what you're going to be asked of from Aaron Glenn, and Aaron Glenn knows how he's going to respond within his defense. So Alex Anzalone is back for another season, and I haven't heard anything on Jalen, so we'll see what happens with Jalen. He may end up elsewhere, because the Detroit Lions also announced that they are re-signing linebacker Sean Hamilton. Now, I'm going to assume this is a pretty cheap contract. It may be less than $1 million, like right on the edge of it, kind of what he was paid last year, because Sean Hamilton did not play in the regular season for the Lions. So if you're not very familiar with that name, it's because he did not play last season. But, and we said this is a guy that I would like to bring back for linebacker depth, because what we saw when you watched him in the training camp, it looked like he was coming in last season as a starter. It looked like Sean Hamilton was a starter for the Lions. It's just that he was injured and we didn't get to see him at all, whether it was preseason or the regular season. So we don't really know what Sean Hamilton looks like. We definitely saw him ball out in training camp. I know he had an interception. He had a great pass deflection on TJ Hockenson. The guy was running with the ones. Sean Hamilton looked like he was going to be a starter, and I think this could end up being one of the Detroit Lions' best signings in terms of value, assuming that the contract is very similar to last year, where it's like $1 million, because he just did not play last season, because teams don't know what he really is, but the Lions do because they had him in-house. They know that he was legit in camp, and they liked where he was going. So bringing back Sean Hamilton, I don't have the contract details on this because of when it's coming out. I love the move, and I was definitely all over making this thing happen, to looking at free agency going forward. So Alex Anzalone's back, Sean Hamilton is back. The Detroit Lions also are bringing back Jalen Elliott, who's the only exclusive rights free agent that we didn't bring in, and we talked about that a little bit yesterday. But Jalen Elliott from Notre Dame, he did play a little bit for us special teams. CJ Moore was the guy that started to play more defensively, and we paid him yesterday as a restricted free agent, that it made sense to go with him. But for a guy like Jalen Elliott, since he is an exclusive rights free agent, I'm not sure if they were able to get him under that tender or not, or if it's just a straight up re-signing. It could be just a straight up re-signing. I'm not sure, but if they did it, exclusive rights free agent deal, again, it'll be no guarantees. It's a very cheap contract. So it basically just gets him in the door for next season. So he's another one of those guys where definitely was not perfect defensively for Jalen Elliott, but it could be a move just to kind of get him back in the door. It's just that we don't have the contract terms for a lot of these deals. So this could be more than just an exclusive rights free agent tender. Maybe they wanted to lock him up for a couple of years. Not completely sure. Bring back Sean Hamilton. I absolutely love it. The former Washington linebacker that we picked up from Washington. He was balling out in camp, and it was like, whoa, this guy's be a starter. Then he was hurt, which was a terrible blow for a linebacker group. We don't know if Jalen's coming back at this point because of who we have at linebacker, but we are now getting depth. You have Alex, you have Sean Hamilton, you have Josh Woods, Derek Barnes. You have legitimate depth at linebacker. They're able to plug some holes here in this free agency period, especially with guys that they already know what they can do, like a Sean Hamilton, because they saw him in-house. They know it's that cheap deal. Very difficult to find another linebacker in this free agency period period that you like that much on that kind of price tag that you're probably getting Sean Dion Hamilton on. So I think that's an amazing re-signing for the Lions. But now they have depth at linebacker, right? With Curtis Bolt and Tavante Beckett. They have like 6 linebackers. There's depth there now at the linebacker position. I think with safety, with CJ Moore, Jalen Elliott back. Of course, you have a guy like Brady Breeze. You also have Juju Hughes. You're getting some depth back there as well. We'll see what happens with T-Walk. No news there. It looks like he's going to go test the waters. But Alex Anzalone's back. I love it. Sean Dion Hamilton's back. I love it. Thinking Jalen Elliott's probably exclusive rights free agent. Brought back that way. CJ Moore, he's back. We talked about that one yesterday. I do like that deal. Now let's kind of finish this up with some rumors, and we'll talk about this more in a little bit. We're going to go live for it. The Detroit Lions and the Jacksonville Jaguars reportedly are working on a deal for Allen Robinson. That's the report that's out there, is that the Jaguars and the Lions are the 2 teams that are interested. Now, the Jaguars, it would be a reunion for Allen Robinson if he decided to come back, right? Because he was there. That's where he started his career at a 1,400-yard season with Blake Bortles at quarterback. They have some, question marks, but now they have Doug Peterson in there. There's a lot of moving pieces. We'll see what happens with that organization if he decides to go back there. But apparently the Lions are the only other team that's in the mix, and reportedly both teams are trying to work on a deal to bring in Allen Robinson. It may come down to who's willing to pay more. It may come down to that, just who's willing to give out more money. I would absolutely love to have Allen Robinson. If we got Allen Robinson, I'd be so hyped, because I am completely sold on bringing in a guy like Allen Robinson at the receiver position. I would absolutely love that. I hope that I'm able to sit here and say the Lions signed Allen Robinson. Please let that be a thing. But reportedly, the rumors are that the Lions and the Jaguars are the 2 teams that right now are competing for that, according to NFL Rumors on Twitter. And they have been on top of a lot of things. So I'm just going to throw that out there. Moves are being made left and right. We're going to go live soon. But until then, let me know your thoughts, comments below. Thank you for watching, and I'm out.